The Alabama Attorney General's office is exploring whether a disinformation campaign against Republican candidate Roy Moore violated state campaign finance laws and whether it influenced the outcome of that election. And this comes after it was revealed a cyber intelligence firm ran a false flag operation back in 2017 in the Alabama Senate race. RT correspondent Dan Cohen is here to discuss the whole situation. So what's going on here, Dan?
Well, basically, we are now seeing the first repercussions of this Democratic Party-aligned influence operation. Now, as you said, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, he was very measured in his statements. He called the information concerning and said, I'm going to give his exact words here, the impact it had on the election is something that's significant for us to explore, and we'll go from there. So he's not saying there's going to be an investigation, absolutely, but they're exploring the possibility.
All right, so remind everybody what the false flag operation was.
Right. So the cyber intelligence firm called New Knowledge was commissioned by that was commissioned by the Senate Intelligence Committee to write a report on alleged Russian disinformation. It turns out that they themselves ran a disinformation campaign in the Alabama Senate race against the accused pedophile Roy Moore and in favor of the centrist Democrat Doug Jones. Now, it's what an internal New Knowledge report, its very own language, called an elaborate false flag operation. Now, that involved buying Twitter bots, thousands of Twitter bots, making their bios in Russian, and then having them follow Roy Moore and retweet Roy Moore to say he's Kremlin-backed, and then going to media and say, oh, wow, look, this is a Russian operation, so, in order to discredit him.
Yeah, very gullible, willing media. But the billionaire who allegedly funded all this, hasn't he apologized?
Yeah, so Reid Hoffman is the founder of the employment networking site LinkedIn. He's a venture capitalist, billionaire who put $100,000, he says unwittingly, into this operation. He says he had no idea what that money was used for, but nonetheless, he apologized and disavowed these underhanded, dirty tactics the influence operation used. But what he hasn't said anything about is his employee, a woman named Sarah K. Hudson. He hasn't disciplined her or fired her or said anything about that. So it kind of looks like, he's circling the wagons a little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is really important to mention and consider is this $100,000 number that he put into it. Now, that's the same exact number that Facebook says the Internet Research Agency spent on ads before and after the 2016 election. And then we saw, with those ads, we saw Democratic pundits saying this is equivalent of 9/11, of the Kristallnacht, the Nazi pogrom.
Yeah. They just were out of their minds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But, the New York Times has claimed that this same number, New Knowledge, spent on the disinformation campaign, had no effect. So, we're not seeing anyone compare it to, like, the Madrid bombings or, like, the ethnic cleansing of Palestine.
I mean, as you alluded to and acknowledged, that's kind of a bizarre, comparing it to violence of any kind is really crazy. But these false flag operations, I mean, it seems so complicated to undertake them, and it costs a good deal of money. Are we going to see more and more of these? No pun intended on Roy Moore, but are we going to see more of these as we go along?
Well, it's a major question. I mean, it's, I think we see, instead of the Democratic Party adopting more progressive policies or maybe an anti-homelessness, anti-poverty campaign to actually appeal to voters, instead they're going to, they're turning to these kinds of dirty operations. And there's major questions about, there's actually 5 Facebook pages that were suspended. One of them belonged to the CEO of New Knowledge named Jonathan Morgan. Now, there are 4 Facebook pages. We don't know what they were. Facebook has not been transparent at all. So what were those Facebook pages, and what is the rest of this money used for? We don't know.
Yeah, we have to rely on our imagination, I guess. Dan, very informative. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.